So things are moving real fast in the Medeas and the YouTubes. So if you want more details and background on Nick, I will link a video that I was making for a while and I'm going to put out. That will provide some more background details. I will go very quickly on who he is just to get to the punchline. So Nick is basically a legal YouTuber. He technically is trained in the law, but he's not exactly a brilliant legal theorist. He's more of a comedian. Basically, he just does a lot of YouTube videos on his observations on legal cases. And more recently, he's hooked up with some extremist people like Nerdrotics, Eric July, and other very, very extreme YouTubers carving out this bizarro conspiracy space. In any case, Eric July recently has found a lot of success with his Esam comic, but he's had a gaggle of controversies and legal issues with people over trademark, over censorship, so on and so forth. Now, I'm not being actually critical of Nick. I think he did the right thing. Basically, what happened is Eric made, frankly, a lot of lies and misrepresentations. Nick asked him, I think very nicely and calmly, well, could you explain this and that? And Eric basically didn't really answer the questions and tried to gaslight people. Nick very kindly says, I don't think you're being entirely truthful. And then Eric got really mad. He stomped off, and he's made a lot of videos attacking Nick that he was entrapped, that he's a shisty lawyer, etc., etc. Of course, Nick was very angry at that representation of his questions. So they had a big back and forth. He's lost a lot of friends and allies. So it's become very polarized. On top of this representation of his questions, so they had a big back and forth. He's lost a lot of friends and allies. So it's become very polarized. On top of this, apparently he's being sued, and keep that mind. He's being sued, and keep that in your mind in the background, because the most recent crisis is apparently a few days ago. He went online, and there's no nice way of putting it. He seemed very, very drunk. Now, I'm not a big fan of his content, so I'm not a hardcore fan, but I've caught him here and there, and this is just a normal thing he does. He just likes to drink. So he'll often have beer or a wine glass or whatever near him, and it seems social. It just seems part of what he does when he streams. He just answers questions, he drinks, then he makes a few jokes, repeat, rinse, cycle. But the last few couple of days seems way more crazy, and some people were speculating that he was on drugs. And now let us get to the punchline. Apparently, he is definitely on drugs because he was arrested very recently. We're talking hours ago. He and his wife, wait for it, and his live-in girlfriend. Right. Yes, Nick, his wife, and his girlfriend were all arrested. Now, to be fair, I think he was charged with drugs and gun charges, as was his wife, but I think the live-in girlfriend was only charged with drugs. So, it's not great. So, all of them were charged with a lot of crimes. Again, how severe, we're going to have to wait and see, right, when the trial happens, or maybe they can plead out. But it all looks really bad and really embarrassing. So for a couple of days, we were speculating, is he high on drugs? Well, he's definitely high on something. Now, devil's advocate, maybe the cops planted the drugs and the guns. Maybe he's totally innocent. Don't know. But at this point, it looks really, really bad. Now, for a while, it's been an open secret. He has a, quote, relationship with this live-in girlfriend, and that he is very social drinker. That's kind of an open secret. But people assumed, okay, seems a little crazy, because again, he often does very right-wing conservative talking points, very moralistic, and saying, oh, the woke Hollywood and their morals and da la 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 la. Traditional Family Guy. I mean, even on his own website, his own YouTube channel, and his social media, he's like, we talk about family and the law. Like, wow, this is a real Addams family if you got a live-in girlfriend. But hey, I'm not judging. I'm just saying it seems like he's living two lives. He's got the YouTube rhetoric about family and God and just respect the rule of law, guys, in Americas and yada, yada, yada. And then he very flagrantly, because he puts it out on photos, he's in a jacuzzi with his wife, the live-in girlfriend, and I think her boyfriend. So yeah, he's living the Vida Loca, and it's caught up with him. Now, I may seem a little harsh here. If you want a more kind perspective, go to the other video. I try to be a little more gentle, because Eric July, oh yes, the beautiful, kind Black Jesus, is offering Nick some help. Says, oh, despite our differences, I'm a little rich now. I'm willing to help you out. and most people on Twitter, and I kind of agree. I think he's just being cynical. But hey, maybe Eric is being serious. And I think now it's no longer speculative. Clearly, Nick has issues. And if you followed my channel for a while, I'm not going to go into this tangent because obviously it's really incredible how very parallel this is to Aaron Smith Levin, who is an alleged anti Scientology activist. Very similar behavior that he's had this very bizarre open, not open marriage with his wife. He now has a girlfriend. He had multiple girlfriends at the same time. He clearly has alcohol and addiction issues, and he's just a rampaging narcissist. And he's also had legal problems. And Nick is very similar. This very alpha male YouTuber who now has all these legal problems, facing a lawsuit, which he could lose and lose a lot of money. He might even lose his YouTube channel. So it's just a lot of chaotic crises he's facing. But again, I'm not here to mock him. I do think at the end of the day, he is a human being. I don't wish him any ill, although I don't like his content and I don't like his politics, but I do admire him standing up for Eric July because too many people on that side of the table, Eric literally just has entire propagandists working for him, and it's just really strange and weird. I respect him as a businessman, but as a comic book creator, he's very authoritarian. So I hope Nick gets better. He does seem to be suffering from multiple addictions. I could recommend some people we could talk to, but I'm not an expert on addiction. I do study it as a research field, but I am not certified. So I would just say you should look into some names and experts to help you out. But he's got to take the first step. But yeah, this is very devastating. I mean, again, it is, I'm not going to lie, a little part of me is laughing my head off at his misery, but it is kind of sad. So it looks like we are looking at the rise and fall of another YouTube grifter where his out of control habits have caught up with him. But hopefully he will recover and reconstruct himself. And maybe Aaron will do the same thing, but I have my doubts.